I never liked showering at night, but that night I didn't really have a choice. I had just come home from a long shift at the gas station, feeling sweaty and gross. My roommate was out of town for the weekend, so I had the apartment to myself. Everything seemed normal until it wasn't. It was around 10:30 p.m. when I locked the front door, reheated some pizza, and sat down with a dumb comedy playing on Netflix. I wasn't really watching it, just noise while I scrolled my phone. About 20 minutes later, I remembered I needed to shower. I had work early again and couldn't afford to sleep. Threw my alarm like I did the day before. So I got up, dumped the plate in the sink, and headed to the bathroom. The light was off like it always is. I flipped the switch and froze. The mirror was foggy. That didn't make sense, I hadn't even turned on the water yet. My heart thumped. I stepped back out. Maybe the hot water pipe was leaking again. Or maybe steam had somehow come from the neighbor's unit. I leaned in to check the floor. It was wet. Small puddles around the base of the tub, like someone had just showered. Now I was seriously nervous. I knew I hadn't used the bathroom since coming home. The door had been locked. My roommate was gone. My hands started shaking. I grabbed my phone and began recording just in case, and slowly pushed the door open wider. The shower curtain was closed. I never leave it closed. I always keep it pulled back because, honestly, closed curtains creep me out. I stood there staring at it. The mirror fogged. The tile damp. The curtain completely still. I whispered, "If someone's in there, I swear I'll call the police." Nothing. I didn't know what else to do. I thought maybe I was just paranoid. I slowly reached out and pulled the curtain back. The tub was empty, bone dry. I let out a breath and laughed nervously. "You're losing it," I told myself. I left the curtain open, turned on the water, and stepped in. I kept glancing out, just in case, but the warm water started to calm me down. That is, until I heard a creak, a slow one. The bathroom door. I froze. I had closed it. Not locked, but definitely closed. Over the sound of the shower, I could hear it shift slightly open. My chest tightened. I turned off the water, listened. Silence. Then bare feet on tile. Soft steps. Someone had walked into the bathroom. I panicked. I yanked the curtain shut, crouched in the tub, holding my breath. I couldn't hear anything but my heartbeat. Then click. The light switched off. I was in total darkness. That was the moment I thought I was going to die. I stayed completely still, water dripping off me, my heart pounding loud in my ears. I don't know how long I waited. A minute, two, but then I heard a faint rustle. Then footsteps again moving away. The door closed. I counted to 30 before I even dared breathe again. When I stepped out of the tub, the bathroom was empty. The light worked fine. The door was closed again. I wrapped myself in a towel and crept through the apartment. Everything seemed untouched until I saw it. My closet, open. I never leave it open. Inside, beneath some towels, I found an old phone charger and an empty energy drink can. Stuff I'd never seen before. That's when I realized someone had been staying in our apartment. I called the building manager the next morning. He came with maintenance and checked the attic hatch in the hallway. They found a sleeping bag, clothes, and a lighter. Whoever it was had probably snuck in weeks earlier, maybe, when we accidentally left the balcony door unlocked. The police came and took fingerprints, but they never found anyone. I changed the locks that same day. And now, every time I shower at night, I check behind the curtain first. Then I locked the bathroom door. Because whoever he was, he never said a word. I don't usually talk about this, not because I've healed from it, but because it's hard to explain without sounding crazy. But this happened. I was 17, home alone for the weekend while my parents were out of town, and my little brother was staying with my aunt. It was a rainy October night, and I was sitting on the living room couch watching an old horror movie with my headphones on. The house was unusually quiet. Around 11:45 p.m., I got up to grab some water and passed the basement door. That's when I noticed the light coming from underneath. A soft yellow glow. I hadn't been in the basement all day, and I always turn off the lights. I stood there for a few seconds, heart starting to race. Maybe I left it on? But the thought just stuck, why would it be on? If I hadn't gone down there, I grabbed a kitchen knife, not because I thought I'd need it, but it gave me something to hold. I opened the door slowly. The light was definitely on, spilling up the stairs in a way that made the shadows stretch unnaturally long. I didn't hear anything, but the air felt wrong, heavy. I stood there, frozen. My gut screamed not to go down. So I didn't. I locked the door and tried to distract myself in the living room. Then around 12:20 a.m., I heard it 3 loud bangs from the basement. Not creaks. Not house noises. Bangs, like a fist slamming into the other side of the door. I jumped up, heart pounding. I didn't move for a full minute. Just stared. Then silence. I texted my friend Aaron. Dude, I think someone's in my basement. He texted back right away. Call 911. I'm coming over. But I didn't call not yet. I pressed my ear to the door. Nothing. I whispered, hello? Still nothing. I dragged the kitchen table and wedged it against the basement door. 10 minutes later, Aaron arrived, soaked from the rain, holding a baseball bat. Did you actually hear something? He asked. I nodded. 3 loud knocks. We both just stared at the door. Finally, Aaron said, let's check it. I told him I wasn't going down. He said he would. We swapped. I held the bat. He took the flashlight. He moved the table and slowly opened the door. The light was still on. He stepped halfway down, then stopped. The string, he whispered. The pull string for the light, it's swinging. My stomach dropped. That meant something had just touched it. He bolted back up the stairs, slammed the door, and said, I'm not going back down there. We sat in the kitchen, stunned. At 3:30 a.m., we heard a scraping sound, like fingernails on wood. It was coming from near the basement. Then it stopped. I finally called 911. The cops searched the whole place, basement, attic, garage, backyard. They didn't find anyone. Just some old decorations and tools in the basement corner. But then one officer came upstairs holding something. You sure no one's been staying here? He asked. I said, yes. Then he showed me a wet toothbrush, found in the basement bathroom drawer. But no one in our family uses that bathroom. It's more like storage. That toothbrush didn't belong to us. It was wet, used. Someone had been staying down there. We don't know for how long. Cops didn't find fingerprints or footprints. Maybe the rain washed them away. Maybe the guy was careful. Aaron stayed until my parents came back the next day. I never forgot that light in the basement, or how it felt standing there, knowing someone was just out of sight, watching, waiting. I live in a small town in Montana, population around 700, but my house sits even farther out, 6 miles down a dirt road, surrounded by thick woods. People call it peaceful, but if you've ever lived alone in the forest, you know peace can turn to terror fast. This happened 2 winters ago, in early December. I was 29, working remotely as a podcast editor, and used to being alone. That night, snow had started falling around 3 p.m., and by evening, the whole place looked like a Christmas card. Around 10:15 p.m., I took off my headphones to use the bathroom, and that's when I heard it. Knock, knock. 2 soft knocks at the front door. I froze. My door has no peephole, just a narrow window with a curtain, so I pulled it back slowly. No one there. No footprints in the fresh snow. I stood there staring, heart pounding, wondering if maybe a tree branch hit the door, but it had been Knuckles. I checked the lock and went back to work, but I couldn't focus. 30 minutes later, it happened again. Knock, knock. Same pattern. Calm. This time I jumped. But before I even reached the door, it knocked again at the back door. That door leads into the woods, to the shed. No one ever goes there? Now, I was scared. I turned on every light and grabbed my hunting rifle. It wasn't loaded, I kept bullets locked away. I loaded it fast, heart racing. I waited in silence, listening, nothing. Then came the third knock at the dining room window. Tap, tap, tap. I spun around with the flashlight, aimed it at the glass. No one, but the knock had come from right there. I pulled back the curtain. One set of bare footprints led to the window. No tracks away. Just 2 bare feet in the snow. I backed away, turned off all the lights, and called the sheriff. I said, "Someone's outside my house." "They're knocking, but not trying to break in." He asked if they were still there. I whispered, "I don't know." He said help was on the way, but it might take 40 minutes due to snow. I locked myself in the bathroom, sat on the floor with the rifle, and waited. At 11:47 p.m., I heard a whisper. Just outside the door, a voice my name. "Eli?" My chest locked up. Then again, "Eli, open the door." My hands shook. I pointed the rifle at the doorknob and didn't say a word. Whoever was out there knew my name. They didn't try to come in, just stood there and whispered. Then silence. Eventually I heard tires in the snow and saw red and blue lights flashing outside. I stepped out of the bathroom slowly. No one. I ran outside to the deputy. He searched the property and the woods, but found nothing except the same footprints at the window. He asked, "You said barefoot?" I nodded. He touched the snow. "No exit tracks?" "That's not right." Then he asked, "Is anyone else supposed to be living here?" "No," I said. "Why?" He held up a Polaroid photo. It was me and my brother Jason when we were kids at my grandma's cabin. That photo had been boxed up in my attic for years. Another Polaroid showed just me, taken recently through the window. We searched the attic the next day. Found a sleeping bag, wrappers, worn shoes, and a knife. Someone had been living up there, watching me. The sheriff believed they'd been there at least a week. I moved out 2 weeks later. We never found out who it was, or why they whispered my name. But sometimes when it snows at night, I swear I hear 2 soft knocks. And now I never answer the door.